Hello everyone and welcome back to the FilmBunker Podcast. My name is Nick. Today I am joined by 4 beautiful people and they're going to introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Matt, and apparently a family function was more important than coming and doing this podcast.
This is Kelsey. Still haven't thought of anything witty for this week.
Hi, my name's Ben. I've been trying to get into Weezer throughout this past week, and after copious amounts of listening, I've determined they are the pinnacle of okay. They are fine.
That's fair.
Yeah.
How did you get through college without listening to Weezer?
I'm not American, first of all.
True.
I'd listened to Buddy Holly, and that's probably the only song I really like of theirs. And then I tried listening to the other
That's really all
albums.
you need.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm Simon.
Okay. Everyone's
That's
introduced
it, really?
themselves.
Yep,
Matt could not join us this week. He has breast cancer.
I'm Matt.
You're Matt. Yeah, we have the new Matt.
Looking good, Matt.
I'm new Matt.
The new redhead Matt.
You look a bit different.
Yeah.
New glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, getting on to actual topics. As usual, we're here to talk about film and TV and all those things. And does anybody have anything they want to talk about? Because I am running out of content this week.
Same.
Yeah, I just I thought what would be interesting, just because it's a bit of controversial at the moment, is to talk about 13 Reasons Why. So season 1 came out a little while ago, and season 2 came out about, I think, 2 weeks ago now. And there's been a lot of controversy about the ending of the season, particularly this season, where they think they stepped a little bit too far. So we're not talking about suicide anymore, because they portrayed that in season 1, and everyone got a bit upset about that. They portray a boy being raped by another boy with a broom handle.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Apparently there's blood on the broom handle and everything
Oh,
to show
God.
even the...
So, just so we're clear, is that what the whole second season is about?
No, so the second season is mainly about the court case, because the mother is trying to sue the school, saying that they were responsible for the daughter's death. But this kid who does get raped at the end is present throughout the film, throughout the season, and you can kind of see him progressively getting bullied more and more and more. And he sort of accuses some of the baseball team of being rapists, and then this is their response to that.
Is he the main character?
No.
Okay, so he's just a side character as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on the tapes in the first season.
Okay.
And he had, he kind of
right.
had his own little episode, but then otherwise he was kind of just this behind the scenes character.
So is he kind of being used to make a point then, or some sort of I don't know, like
Isn't that the point of...
being that it's not the main character? It's like they've just choose that random aside character to be like, okay, we want to make a point about rape, and they've just gone, okay, this guy.
Well, wasn't the first season kind of similar to that in setup? Because it followed a different character as opposed to the person who had died. And she was more of a... not only a side character, but she was a secondary supporting character. But it really followed this other kid discovering all the tapes and trying to uncover it all. So I'm guessing it's trying to continue with that setup as well.
What happened to the school shooting, though? Because I thought that was what this season was meant to be about, because in the end of the last season, they put that gun in the guy's locker, and they were like, next season's going to be all about school shootings, and...
Yeah, so that's sort of what happens, I guess. So he is raped by them, and then you can kind of see that he's just broken, and then he comes to school with an AK-47 to do a big shooting at the end of the season. He's stopped by Clay, that main character, and it kind of the cliffhanger of the end of the season is you can hear the police cars arriving. Clay's got the gun in his hands, and that kid's now taken off with some other people.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess lots of people are just talking about that they feel like that's unnecessary, like it was over the top to portray the rape. That's the same criticism they had in season 1 about portraying the suicide. They were like, it's glorifying suicide, and they're kind of having the same thing to say about the rape.
Yep.
In the defense, the creators have sort of said, you'd be surprised at the statistics of man-on-man rape. And we wanted to portray that realistically. So.
Thoughts? It's
There's a lot there.
difficult.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot there to unpack.
Especially if you're trying to like put that whole thing in with school shootings, I feel like you're devaluing both of those things.
Yes.
Yeah, they're trying to put two in the same season. It's like,
Yeah.
can you focus on? They're saying X leads to Y.
Yeah,
and
that's
not
what I was going to say.
Really,
yeah.
the case of it.
It's almost like saying it's weird because it sounds like it's almost saying, oh, he got raped, so he's justified to go and shoot people, but he doesn't. It's an odd.
Yeah,
Oh,
how do they put him through the season? Is it portrayed? I don't even know how to ask the question. Is it portrayed like you're on the victim's side, or is it just purely an outside view and you make your own decision, or is it?
Yeah, I guess that might be an opinion, right? But I think throughout the season, for me, you kind of feel bad for him because he's kind of, he ended up on the tapes last season because he was being a bit of a perv. So since then, he's just been made fun of and, you're such a perv and he's become this creepy character. But then he's just not living it down and he's just kind of being chipped away.
Right.
You think he's finally going to find friends. They, humiliate him. Like, it just sort of, it vamps up the whole time. But there is that creepy undertone that you're like, well...
Yeah, so
we
it's
on his
trying.
side?
Yeah, it sounds like it's trying to make you feel bad for him.
Yeah,
And
so
then taking it to the most extreme circumstances.
Yeah, so you want
Yeah.
to be on his side,
Yeah,
almost,
which
is weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the outcome. What? I don't.
But is that meant to be the point as well? Are you meant to be on his side for most of it, and then at the end you're like, no. I don't know.
It just does, storytelling wise, it just doesn't sound right though.
I don't think it's a good way to do it, but
Even the first season for me, they tried to push a gender, I think, to a point where it became, for me at least, a little bit damaging to the agenda they were trying to push anyway. Like especially with her, the whole premise of the show being her going through the 13 reasons why she committed suicide and it was everyone else's fault. And the way that she was talking about it didn't really go into the nuances of the fact that she had depression and these horrible things happened to her, or it kind of, throughout the season you could hear her voice and you could see her, so you never felt the emptiness that was there without her there. And it kind of made it, I thought to myself, I only saw the first few episodes and I know it got progressively worse for her from there, but the first few episodes were real teenage problems. And if I was a teenager and watched it at the time and I had, the teenage, oh, no one understands me kind of feelings going on, I would have been like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could show all the people that did this to me that, it's that they hurt me and I wish I could ruin their lives the way that they ruined mine and things like that. And I think it could get damaging in that way, especially since they ignored a lot of psychological...
yeah, so they tried to, really it's issues that are very multifaceted and they only really go down one path.
Yeah.
Or a couple, really.
And
but,
the miss of mental health,
Yeah.
I guess it was predominantly focusing on what these other people did and how that affected Hannah. And then they didn't really talk, like they put a little bit of emphasis on it was her truth, because I think someone eventually questions it and says Hannah was lying. She wasn't telling the truth, and then one of the characters says, well, she was telling her truth. And so a lot of people were talking about that too, of like, well, how are we supposed to sympathize for this character if we don't really know what's going on there?
Yeah, and it sounds like portraying those things, just from an outside perspective, portraying those things as cause and effect
Yeah.
Yeah.
the whole way through. It
A
just
plus
seems
B.
Like,
Yeah.
how could you ever put nuance into that?
Yeah.
It seems like they really have a problem with, well, we have agendas that we want to talk about. We want to talk about suicide awareness, and we want to make sure that schools have, because there was a whole thing in the first season where the guidance counsellor didn't do what he could have done to stop it from happening because he kind of turned her away or something along those lines. So it's talking about how schools need to, have more psychological help for them, but then it's pushing these agendas in really sensationalist ways so that you can keep binging it. You want to watch more. You want to
Right.
see what's happening because it's a Netflix show.
The TV
It's like-
part of the TV
Yeah,
show
it's
gets in the
entertainment,
way.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's trying to push those agendas, but it sounds like it's almost doing it through a certain level of scare tactics.
Yeah.
So it's like,
shock
okay, the
value.
first season, a lot of the things that happen, from what I've heard, because I haven't seen it, but a lot of the new Matt here has told me that a lot of the things that happens to her are kind of almost everyday teenage things that a lot of teenagers go through and have to work out how to get through it. And it sounds like they don't show how she could have got through it or anything like that. There's no real you know, oh, this is what you do
Yeah.
to get through these things. But then in the second season, it seems like they've taken that to the exact extreme, to a point where it's like someone being raped obviously is not something that's every day, and there's no way you can, like, there is, you know, after it happens, there's lots of, you know, counseling and things to get over what's happened to the person. But instead of doing anything like that, they've just gone to the next extreme and gone, well, now he's going to shoot up a school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is that A to B without any middle ground or any sort of like, okay, let's actually help solve these kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, this is a problem, this is what happens because of the problem.
And for me, I guess, like, because it was based on a book and the season 1 was the book, straight away going into season 2, I was like, well, this cannot be anything but a cash grab. And I bet they, you know, it's like a year between seasons. They probably didn't have enough time to write anything legitimate. So I went in thinking that when I started watching it, and then with the whole shooting thing, I'm like, they're just going for that because it's topical.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like there's lots going on in America, and it's almost, again, like I can only see the business part of it now as a TV show, whereas season 1, I was like, oh yeah, maybe they are trying to make a point. Season 2, it just seems like they are just trying to get people talking about it like we are.
Take a topical point and make something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, from those who have seen it, what audience is this aimed at? Is it like teen drama, or does it go further than that? Or
see, for me, while the content can get quite violent and quite harrowing and technically might be rated for a more mature audience, it's definitely for
is it the tone for
teenagers.
teen?
The tone is for teenagers. The tropes are there. The whole kind of atmosphere of it, the dialogue, it's all the same as something like, let's say, Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
Kind of that kind of tone to it. But then it's got the darker tone, and it's I found that adults who watched it were more on the side of, oh, this is horrible and harrowing, but it can go too far, whereas a lot of the teenagers really connect with it and say it's so like shocking and I can't believe it and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that it is really for those audiences, because on Netflix you can't really control
No,
what
not
teenagers
really.
watch.
No, it's up to parents. I think that's my biggest issue with the show and the way it was executed, is that I think talking about these topics, be it rape, school shootings, etc., it's worthwhile talking about in media. I don't think a teen drama is the right place to talk about it, though.
Or the way they've gone about it, at least, has not been correct.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, if you're talking about suicide, school shootings, and rape, you had better be a genius, essentially, because it's such a difficult topic to actually get anything interesting out of.
And the reality is, no matter how you do it, people are going to disagree with it. Sure. Because that's just the nature of
Different experiences.
those topics, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you stick to a story, and the story is compelling, and you can write it off as it's a story, and people look for the themes within that, then it's a bit more powerful. But if this is an agenda, and we're pushing this on you, A plus B equals C, and this is the only way, a lot of that gets lost.
Yeah,
So that's
message.
And like, thinking about it, if I was a teenager these days, if I was in high school, I would probably watch it. If the way it was advertised to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if
definitely.
I can see the appeal.
everyone else was watching it, and they
Exactly.
and there would be, you would. Yeah.
Exactly. Because the actual core concept of at least the first season, with the whole there's tapes with people about them, is quite interesting on paper.
Yeah.
It's just executed in a very bizarre way, and it kind of became its own amalgamation of
It became
whatever it is
to the
now.
point that it became that meme.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say, though, like, we did kind of touch on that, you can't have a teen drama dealing with these difficult topics to any extent. It's not the place to do so. But I find that, like, for our age group, we had Skins.
That's
And
true.
Skins dealt with some
But
pretty...
it dealt with it in
It was the execution of it.
Yeah.
it dealt with it in better ways.
Exactly. It was a place where a lot of young people felt, a lot of teenagers who did kind of go out and party and smoke weed and do all that, they connected with it. And they watched it and connected with the characters, and there were really dramatized, dramatic moments, but the way it was dealt with, it had a little sense of humor to it. It had really a more nuanced view of it, I think. Than,
It had a more realistic.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
It was raw.
it was really raw, and I found that, you know, it was to an extent a kind of cash grab, especially when it went into the next generation.
Well, okay,
and
so
the next
second generation it still had very good things.
I
Exactly.
really
After
liked it.
that is
Yeah.
where I feel like it
Yeah.
became the cash grab. Because it progressed with, you know, Effie going from the first season to the
Yeah.
second season.
Yeah.
So it had that little tie-in. So it still worked well and it had its own points to make.
Yeah.
More about mental health in that second season. Very much so. The first season was... Or the first 2 seasons, sorry?
Two seasons.
Two
Two
seasons,
first
yeah.
generation.
Yeah, the generations, that's a better way, yeah. The first one had a bit of mental health with, like, Cassie. And then you had... Oh, was it Cassie that was in the
Yeah.
first
It was
one?
Cassie.
Yeah.
Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie, and then you had everything that happened with what was Nicholas Holt's character called?
Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So him having the accident and then
Grief. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was grief and getting past what happened to him and his whole experience.
Yeah.
And then the second one was very centered around Effie and Freddie and everything that happened with
Yeah.
them. And then Cook being like the outsider thug and all that. And it was just, it dealt with it so much better.
Yeah, and Skins also was rated for adult audiences.
It was, and that was the big thing.
Yeah, and it was dark, violent, had a lot of swearing in it, was not really age appropriate, but it connected with teens because that's what teens were actually like.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was way more realistic.
It was way more realistic. And I feel like 13 Reasons Why also is very American.
Yeah.
It's going on topical things
I was gonna
of
say that, yeah.
American schools, no guidance counselor that can help you,
Yeah.
like all of this sort of stuff, and it's kind of American problems that maybe that might be a reason why we can't really connect with it
Yeah,
as
it
well.
might not translate to us here as
Yeah.
well.
True.
Yeah. Whereas the English system kind of translates a bit better.
A little bit better, I
Yeah.
think.
There's still that disconnect, but
Yeah.
less so than when we're watching American shows.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Um,
Especially within, I was going to say within schooling, I mean, the English system is still pretty different to our schooling, but
yeah, but no one really
it
pays
doesn't.
attention to that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Skins doesn't deal as much with the
They never
the
just think-
internal school
Have you
stuff.
seen them do
Whereas
schoolwork
I feel
in
like
Skins?
13 Reasons Why it's very internal kind of
It's more
school
internal,
thing,
yeah.
politics.
It's internal school hierarchy politics and cliques and.
I guess that cultural difference as well.
Yeah. There's
You know,
that
the
one
baseball
episode.
team and
Yeah, there was that one episode about the friends, and she had 2 friends, and and that was the most realistic one for me, where she has 2 friends, one dates the other, there's some misunderstanding, both of her friends aren't friends with her anymore, and that's just normal teen drama that
Yeah.
could connect with anyone, but that's the one that scared me the most, because it could connect with anyone, and
Yeah.
if I was a teenager, I would be like, oh, look at them, they really hurt Hannah, I feel this, I feel like I can connect with Hannah, but then Hannah committed suicide, and that's really...
yeah, it's a dangerous line to connect with that character for young kids. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean then for them? How far do they take that connection?
Because she kind of comes out as a hero for what she's doing. She comes out as a hero for
How
giving,
brave of you to do all that? Is that
to
what's
do
kind
these
of
tapes,
yeah, exactly.
and it's like, oh, she did this, and she was a wonderful soul, and after she dies, everyone talks amazing things about her. And I'm not saying that they should be like mean about her, but it's kind of by having this outward, oh, Hannah was so incredible and now we've lost her, and her voice going through the tapes and all of that kind of stuff, it kind of does make it seem like she is this angel that, you know,
I think we've got a little
controls
bit lost
everything.
in season 1 more than anything, because
Yeah.
we were talking about season 2. So does anyone think anything from what we've talked about season 1 really translates over to what Kelsey has said about season 2?
I mean,
is
difficult.
it very polar opposite?
I mean, just from what we were talking about just there, it seems very similar to the issue that the media has with school shootings. What that kind of thing that you have with suicide, you're making it look like a way to get your name out there.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
right.
don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of glorifying it to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, and by connecting rape with school shootings in that way, that just seems like such a messy thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, so the 3 of us haven't seen it.
No.
Yeah.
There's the second season. Kelsey, is it portrayed in a way that, oh, he was raped, therefore he will go shoot up a school? Is it that
I guess
black and
pretty
white?
much.
Really?
Yeah, like because
Okay.
after that moment, you know, there's it's quite traumatic, and he's in tears and everything, and then the very next scene he's getting his gun and he's all
Right.
Oh yeah,
You
so
know,
it is literally just A plus
pretty
B
much,
equals C.
yeah.
Okay,
And I think
yeah.
the main thing, like, I mean, that's a problem in itself too, but the main thing that people are talking about is that rape scene and whether or not that was necessary, or could it have been implicit, could it have just sort of that he was, because he was getting beaten up by this whole baseball
Right.
team,
Yeah,
and
so
then they
violent.
added the rape. So it's just people are kind of questioning that, did we need to see it, or could we have just assumed that's what happened? They grabbed the broom or something, I don't know. And did it have to happen? Could he not just have been
Sounds like to
beaten
me
up?
it really didn't have to happen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's what most
After
people...
spending an entire season on being shit on, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
And then it's like, oh, and then he gets brutally raped, and that's what tips him over the edge.
Yeah.
It's like jumping so far.
And they used the same technique in season 1, because that's one of like the 11th tape or something. That's what happens to Hannah. And it's kind of like that soul-breaking moment.
Oh,
and
because
then
she gets
She's
she's
raped.
raped too.
Yeah.
So it
So I
ends on
guess-
rape and then starts on rape.
Yeah.
Weird.
Whether or not
Yeah.
that was their like poetic sort of thing that they were going for, but it just seems like both times it was like that was what finally broke each of those people.
Yeah.
Is that a little overkill?
Yeah, it's almost hearing that, thinking about it, it's almost like they're making more of a point about rape ending up causing things to
Yeah.
happen than about suicide or about school shootings. It's like
But then
they're
also-
more focused on that.
And then also connecting suicide and school shootings directly to rape.
yeah. Why?
Yeah.
It sounds like they took it to a very illogical extreme.
Yeah.
Oh, if you get raped, you could potentially shoot up a school from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
anger and aggression of that.
Like, don't do this because it's going to ruin this person's
Yeah,
life, which is
exactly.
a perfect thing to be saying. But why does that person then have to
Don't-
do this extreme
Either
thing to
show it like
prove
that.
it?
themselves
Yeah.
or others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Why? Why can't it be just about how broken the person
Yeah.
is?
And I know this I don't know what happens in the show, and I probably won't do it because it's TV, but does he ever seek help or tell his parents or do anything productive like that?
Not this particular kid. I think there's a
Okay.
couple times in season 1 where Hannah's close to reaching out to people, and
But
she does
doesn't?
reach out to the guidance officer,
Okay.
and he basically says, "Get over it." So that was a bit controversial, but this particular kid, he is the token. No, I'm okay, Dad, and the dad's sort of
Right,
suggesting, why don't you move schools? Like maybe it'd be easier just to get rid of the little perv name that he's kind of gotten at the school, and he's like, no, I'm fine. I think I met a nice person today.
So the dad knows
Yeah.
about the bullying.
Yeah.
So they're
Pretty
trying
much,
to.
okay.
Is it almost like, but by saying, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm alright," is that also them trying to make a point about like masculinity,
Male masculinity,
Yeah,
exactly.
and about not wanting to talk? Is do you think that's what they're doing there as well?
Probably like
Yeah.
undertones there
Yeah.
because he's a male character now, and he's talking to his dad and other people,
Yeah, and he's got a dad that sounds actually supportive,
Yeah.
which is nice to hear for once.
And not a
There is-
broken family.
Yeah, there is too many times when that is such a bad trope, and I hate it.
I think that's what I'd actually say this show does quite well, is they portray parents
That's good.
quite good. Like in the first season, they weren't as involved, but this second season they become more involved, and they are very positive role models. Like most of the parents are actually really good people, and you kind of, when you're watching it, I guess you actually do get frustrated because you're like, just talk to the parents.
Yeah.
Like every time you're like, oh my god, these parents are good. If you just tell them, they will help you, and no one ever thinks
Just
to do
listen to them.
that. Yeah.
also,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Realistically, if we were all teenagers and
Yeah, it's probably 'cause I'm
we,
old.
we probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that
Yeah.
we're more grown up, it's like just talk to them, be
I'm-
mature about it.
And the thing is, they're showing that, right? And
Mm.
I'm sure there is no point where someone actually does listen to the parents and it works out for them. Is there?
Well, yeah, I can't think of an instance where they talk to the parents much at all.
See,
Exactly.
That's
That's,
not the whole
the problem.
truth,
They're
yeah.
not saying, "Hey, look, you can talk to your parents." They're showing the parents doing good things,
Yeah.
but they're not actually making that link, that jump to show people you can do this and it will work out well.
But they're
Yeah,
not going to do
true.
that because
Some
that
parents are shit.
well,
Is
well,
that
no,
why?
it removes the conflict of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then the parent can just solve everything and call
I
the
guess.
call the police, get them out of the school, do
It's
whatever
the
they
same
want
with
to do.
any teen show. They
Exactly.
never tell, like even in Riverdale, I shout at Riverdale
Oh, it's trash.
because it's
Yeah.
trash.
Such good
Yeah.
trash.
It's
though.
great trash.
It's great
It
trash.
knows what it is.
But then you've got like all the parents, even the kind of Jughead's dad that's like, oh, he's an addict and he's an ex-addict and he's a mobster, but the parents all have it together, and you're kind of shouting at the teenagers, just tell your, especially Archie, tell your dad, please.
But there are times where they're with the parents and their parents help them do things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be all the time.
No.
Showing it sometimes is enough.
And working out.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just to make that point. Like, you can't just have the characters be good, but nothing...
Because I guess
They
that's
don't
what
help
happens
anything
in
because
season
of that.
1, like with that guidance officer. It's like the first adult that is told, and he is the last tape. And because she goes to him and says, I've been raped, essentially, to this guy. And he's like, are you sure you just didn't change your mind? Like, it's portrayed horribly of like the first time someone goes to an adult and you're like, oh, this is not good.
I feel sorry for guidance counselors everywhere, because they're going to be, they've spent they have to go and be a teacher first, then go and do another degree to help with teenagers' psychology. Then they go into a school, and now there's a thing saying, oh, if you go to a guidance counselor for help, they may turn around and say it was your fault. And like the poor guidance counselors are going, please come to me, this is my job.
I feel like the guy who just wrote, or one of the writers of that show just had a really shit experience with a guidance counselor in school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just,
Get revenge.
exactly. Guidance counselors are terrible.
Take all these people down.
This is your tape.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway,
Yeah, some heavy topics there.
yeah.
It's
Move on to something lighter.
I was gonna say, can we wrap this up? But like, there's no real way for us to all go.
I will say it's interesting in the because we looked at Skins and then and 13 Reasons Why as well, and I think that kind of just shows when you explore the topics well, you can make a timeless show like Skins. It's like Skins will be relevant for decades. I feel like.
Yeah.
And it will be watchable and it'll be entertaining.
Probably also because it's not as topical.
Exactly. And
It's hard things that people have had to go through for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's not things that people have had to go through
And
in that one period.
it's a constant as well. There's like, unfortunately, there's always going to be underage drinking and partying and drugs and sex and all that jazz. So you can see the power of how you do a series well. You can make something timeless, or you can make a meme, or you can make something that kind of digs its own hole.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to wrap that.
Thank you.
That one up.
Well said. I concur.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, has anyone got
Something a
anything
bit
else
lighter?
they want to talk? Yeah, is there anything lighter anyone wants to talk about? I mean, on the heavy side of things.
I'm trying to think of something light and happy and cute, just to
And cute.
just to really counteract the darkness we all shared.
Get out of the hole.
No, we're stuck in it now.
Wreck-It Ralph 2's coming out soon.
I'm so keen for that.
It looks so good.
I'm so keen. I loved Wreck-It Ralph 1.
Also, How to Train Your Dragon 3?
Are they making a third one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Incredibles too, but I'm very concerned about
I'm
that.
very concerned about it.
I am optimistic, but I'll probably not enjoy it.
I wrote a trailer review. You can see my opinions there.
Where can we see
Check
that,
out
Nick?
the website.
Where can we see that?
FilmBunker.com.
Yeah.
Film-bunker.
Film-bunker.com.
Because some Spanish people took our domain before we could.
Is it Spanish people? Because I've gone to that by accident before, and it's just a weird
No,
menu.
I think the Spanish people have our Facebook page.
Oh.
Someone else has our website. And someone else has our Twitter as well.
Oh, and also
Yeah.
And there's a
Instagram.
YouTube. There's a
I had to-
YouTube channel as well called FilmBunker that's
Yeah.
doing much better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our first goal is to beat them. Subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Ring that bell and do a dance. I don't bloody know what they do
Yeah.
anymore. No, I liked Wreck-It Ralph 1.
I loved Wreck-It
That
Ralph.
was one of
That was
my
excellent.
my more liked animated films of like the last 5 years.
Are you not a big
honest.
animated
Not really.
person generally?
No.
Okay.
Well, we
Yeah.
were talking about anime before this, and Simon was very
Yeah,
concerned.
no, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get anime because
Yeah.
there's also the cultural difference and everything like that.
Yeah.
Less so now, but yeah, it is still niche. But even stuff like Disney, which is still generally very
Disney Pixar in general.
Disney Pixar. Yeah.
I like Toy Story.
Everyone likes Toy Story.
Oh no, you can't not like Toy Story.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for an animated film to get me in the theater in the first place.
So why is that? Do you think?
I don't know.
Let's talk about this, Simon. Let's talk about your problem.
I honestly don't know. I can't think of anything that's come out in the past couple of years that's really made me want to go see it.
I can sympathize with that also.
I can't agree with that. I'm mostly being
Yeah.
a devil's advocate. Especially in the last recent years, there hasn't been
Yeah, no,
that much.
like Moana was
since
great.
Moana.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw Moana. That is another one that
Moana
I really
was
liked.
Moana was
Yeah.
brilliant, but kind of yeah, you're right. Around these last few years, there hasn't been like Coco,
Which
was
did
like-
really well. And
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I haven't seen it,
Me
so
neither.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of other things that have come out.
I think for me, like with animation, there's something I'm happy to wait for DVD.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
Yeah.
there's a reason why, but it's just something that, you know, for blockbusters, I have to go. Like
Yeah.
all the Marvel films, or if there's like a new sequel to something I've seen, like I want to see that in the cinema. Animation, I'm kind of like, well, I think it'll
Does-
be just as fine on my
Yeah,
TV
does-
or whatever.
Does the cinema experience not add too much to the animation?
I don't think so.
yeah.
It's arguably better to watch it at home because it's, I don't know, it feels like it fits that environment. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And I think that also probably just us growing up, watching
Probably,
cartoons and animation
Probably.
at home and not
Yeah.
seeing as when we were growing up. I can't, other than your Disney and Pixar, there probably wasn't too much
Not a
else.
lot,
Maybe
no.
you could say Shrek and all those things, but there wasn't too much else coming out.
Oh,
in the
like
theaters.
DreamWorks things.
Yeah.
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 And it, yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think. Yeah, I got nothing. I like animation.
But I like what
Yeah.
they're doing with Wreck-It Ralph too, taking it.
I think it's
that
very
step.
interesting,
It's a
yeah.
really good idea going from these arcade games to okay, now they're on the internet. It's a great leap to make to be able to do that, and it's a really interesting concept.
It is.
For a sequel of something that was about arcade games to go. Okay, they've made it onto the internet.
I do
It's
think
perfect.
as well there is room for them to mess it up because it's the internet.
Yeah.
Emoji movie.
Yeah.
That. Oh yeah, there was that movie. Yeah, that was
Is
Everyone
It's-
should blank that from their mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks Sony for that. No, there's room for them to mess it up, but I don't think they will. I think
No.
they've got too strong of a foundation.
Yeah.
The thing that really got me in like overwhelmed with glee for it was that they're getting all the original Disney princess voices back
I didn't even know
to
that.
play all of the original Disney princesses in a scene
awesome.
where they go and visit Oh My Disney, which is just to me
That's great.
just to hear Paige O'Hara's bell again, or just it would just be really nice to see that scene.
Yeah.
Why are they in that? I didn't know there was a Disney princess game.
Oh no, it's
Oh,
not-
I'm sure there's
it's
heaps.
just on the internet.
No,
is it?
it's
Just on the
a
website?
it's a website called Oh My Disney,
Okay.
and they
It's just
are,
Disney trying to promote their website.
I
as
reckon.
you-
No, it's not Disney's own website. It's a fan website.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, but they do a lot with Disney
Ah, well,
because
there
they
you go,
got
yeah.
really big, and it's for like because there's an actual serious Disney fandom
Yeah.
that
No,
follow
is there?
that. Oh.
Really? Yeah.
no, but it's those kind of Disney fandom people go on that website and get all their Disney news,
Yeah.
and so I don't think it's owned by Disney. I think just Disney
fan
ticked
site.
it up.
I mean, they definitely benefit from it, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Because they're not making enough money, are they?
Yeah.
The House of Mouse is just printing money.
Yeah.
I guess, like, on that, do you think, because you're saying it's just potentially an advertisement for Disney, do you think there could be a lot of things in Wreck-It Ralph 2 that could go down that same route?
Well,
Hopefully they balance it well.
That's what I mean, yeah.
another thing I saw was that Mario, voiced by the actual guy that voices
Yeah.
Mario, is going to be in it.
Cool.
So
a good dude.
Nintendo, yeah, Mario's a good dude.
No,
No,
the guy playing him is a good dude.
Nintendo have probably got their,
Exactly.
but it is just going to be a big advert, I think. But the problem with and that's what everyone was saying about
As long
the
as there's a
Emoji
decent
Movie.
story around it.
Exactly, yeah.
The Emoji Movie, I think, because it was it was about emojis and Samsungs and cool kids.
Well,
Hello, fellow children.
Sony's, that was it. It was Sony's and cool kids. It kind of felt like a cash grab first and foremost. But at least Wreck-It Ralph has the first one for us all to go. We
Exactly.
like that property, so now we're gonna get advertised to, and we're gonna like it. But
I mean, if they poke fun of the app, like of the real websites, I think
feel like
it'll be
they will.
fine. I think
Yeah.
they will,
Yeah.
and I think it'll be totally fine. I'm pretty sure in the trailer there's a scene where they're in eBay or something similar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some
something
big
like that,
shopping
yeah.
center which is eBay, and they
Yeah.
poke fun of all that, of
Yeah.
all the ads coming up.
Yeah.
If they do things like that, I think it'll be fine.
It might be very similar to how Ready Player One handled it.
Possibly.
Yeah. Which I think they handled it okay. I know a lot of people aren't too happy about it, Ben in particular.
Yeah, I wasn't.
You
I had
didn't like
issues.
all the Blizzard stuff in it.
Oh, I mean, who was a sponsor in that movie?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because they kind of, they did a lot of 80s, but then they had a lot of newer things.
And then
but
Overwatch.
a lot of really obvious, Overwatch.
Yeah.
There was, how many times was Tracer in it? About 4 times?
Exactly, and she was in
Yeah.
the main trailer. And I think they had Space Marines.
A lot of Halo.
A lot of Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Microsoft get in there as well.
Yeah.
So, I have reservations about that.
Yeah,
particularly.
there's other things. You've got, your Mortal Kombat and all that, but...
I don't mind those as much
Yeah.
because they're smaller studios and
Gundam.
companies.
Yeah.
Well, Gundam's that's 80s anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat's also late 80s.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So that stuff's fine. But yeah, Blizzard in particular, it's like really.
I liked it because I thought the place would have been evolving over time anyway.
Yeah,
So
it made
those,
sense for the plot.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
fair.
Yeah.
Those things. Not everything was added into that world. I feel, especially for the movie anyway. Karen, I will let you talk. You know a lot about it. Now I've forgotten what I was gonna say. You go.
You just dug yourself right into a hole there.
Yeah, I just like, oh, wait for him to finish, and then he was like, you know a lot about it. No, I read the book and liked the book, and I know a lot of people do not like the book, but the book was 80s pop culture for a reason, and I found that all of the newer stuff, like Overwatch and the Blizzard sponsorships, and I think the Halo guys and things like that, while it made sense for the world they were building in the movie a little bit, the reason everyone in that world was obsessed with 80s pop culture was because Halliday himself was obsessed with 80s pop culture. And I found that, that kind of in the book made it so that you had the Tomb of Annihilation run and you had Tomb of Horrors
Tomb of
run.
Horrors, yeah.
And then you had War Games, and you had Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and you had all of these more kind of 80s references, and it didn't seem as much like it was just, oh look, that's something I recognise, yay. It's
Think
Tracer.
about who it's marketed towards, though.
Yeah,
It's certainly
exactly.
not anyone who grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
So they would have, while they kept the music with 80s, which I loved, and they kept a bunch of 80s stuff, I think it was a smart move for them to incorporate new stuff. Otherwise, the kids, because I feel like that's who it was marketed towards, who are watching it, would have gotten none of that.
Exactly. And a lot of people who did grow up in the 80s didn't like it because they said, oh, it's not reflective of anything and it's shallow. And I get that argument, but at the same time, I read the book, I've got the book. If they want to do something different with it, that's fine. It was fun enough.
Was it
Yeah.
generally well received by people who'd read the book?
I liked it.
Yeah, I read the book and I liked it fine.
Okay.
I wasn't like it was amazing or incredible or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but I liked it fine. I found that after it came out, a lot more people came out about hating the book and hating the
Interesting.
references and hating, what Ernest Cline did, which I found more interesting because I didn't see anyone that were book fanatics going, oh no, but he was meant to go and recreate the voice jump scene or whatever it was, and it was really, well, this is the movie and it's all right, but the book had so many issues, and let's talk about that now.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned to me that there's a whole section in the book where it's just recreating war games.
Yeah,
That does not sound interesting to read, to be totally honest.
it was interesting to read. It was quite fun to read. It was one of my
Okay.
favourite parts. It made me watch War Games.
Which is a brilliant movie if you hadn't seen it.
Yeah, War Games is great.
I mean, couldn't you just watch war games and then be done with it?
Well, it's not a long...
I know it's
From
not about
memory,
that.
it's
but
not
yeah.
a long scene. It goes into more
Okay.
of its internal monologue. They couldn't do it in the movie because A, they'd need to get the rights to
Exactly.
War Games, and B, it could have been like a 1 or 2 minute scene, but they probably couldn't do it. So I knew they were going to change that.
Yeah.
The thing I was most disappointed about was that they didn't do the Tomb of Horrors thing, because I thought that would be more cinematic than the race.
It'd be cinematic, but I feel like it'd be very lost on audiences.
Exactly, and that's
which
it.
is-
It's when you're doing a popular, like a film, it needs to be broader, and
Yeah.
that's why I think with the book for me, it was like getting those references was more of, oh yay, I really do get this because I like these things, and I don't feel like there's that many Blade Runner references and things I
Right.
watch or like, or there's that many of this and I get this, and you feel good about it. And there was heaps of things I missed, but I was fine with that. But that's because I went and bought the book. Those who are just seeing a movie and getting a ticket for the movie, I guess, would just be like, yeah,
References.
Gundam, I know that.
Yeah, right.
And that's
okay.
fine. It was just a fine movie.
It was.
Doesn't sound like a whole lot of substance.
No, not at all. Not at
And
all.
therein lies the issue, for me at
Yeah,
least.
it was. But the thing is, it didn't really need to.
This is meant to be a fun movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like those who were saying, but it doesn't talk about what actually happened in VR with VR chat, and it's like no one wants to see VR
No,
chat.
because that's,
one cares.
that's not entertaining. You want to see midget Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog running around memeing people? No.
Ugandan Knuckles. I actually
I
saw
kind
it.
of would want to see
Yeah, I would.
It'd be funny for 30 seconds, and then after that, it'd be horrible.
Yeah, where was Ugandan Knuckles in Ready Player One? That would have been way
That
better.
would date the movie so hard.
I saw a photo of some graffiti in Uganda of Ugandan
Oh,
Knuckles holding
no.
a Ugandan flag.
Oh,
my
no.
God.
It was
no.
hilarious.
No one needs to see VR chat in,
It was
in
hilarious.
film.
No,
It just never needs to
no,
be
because
seen.
it's scary.
Where was League of Legends? Come on. Where was League of Legends with all the salt?
That's why it wasn't there, because it'd just be a bunch of 12-year-olds
It's
swearing.
realistic. Hopefully Wreck-It Ralph can be. I just want
They'll
that
just
now.
have like a corner of the internet that just says lol above it, and just a bunch of like kids.
It'll have Dota right next to it. as
Yeah,
well.
we don't
It'll be
have
right
next
next to
to
each
it.
other.
Yeah, this is the what is it? What are they classified under?
MOBA.
MOBAs. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the MOBA corner. No one goes to the MOBA corner.
There's a bouncer, but he only lets people in if they're under 12. ID? So you're 33. Get the hell out of here.
Get out.
Now I just want Wreck-It Ralph in League, but that's a whole other thing entirely.
Something else I wanted to talk about was with Ocean's 8 coming out.
Yeah.
So with the female cast, it's kind of, I guess, sparked a little bit of discussion about, it's not really a reboot. It's set in the same universe, apparently. But
Is it a sequel? Or is it...
kind of. I mean, George
like a
Clooney and all those
pseudo-sequel.
guys are in it. I think he may
Yeah,
be
yeah.
the
I
brother.
think-
Well,
I think
like...
that-
I think they're spoken about. There might be a
Yeah.
cameo. I haven't seen it yet, but there might be a cameo or something. I think
Right.
George Clooney is the brother of somebody, or somebody is.
No,
So it's all
he's-
set in the
he's
same
the
universe.
husband of Sandra Bullock's character, right? Isn't
I
that,
have no
wasn't,
idea.
Sounds right.
wasn't that
Yeah.
their connection in
I
the
have no
Ocean's
idea.
movies?
Was Sandra
No.
Bullock in those movies?
Yes.
Well, then there you
Then
go.
probably,
That's
yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
probably,
Yeah, because her last name is the same as his last name in the movies,
Oh.
and she comes out of jail, and in the trailer, from what I've seen, then they reference that she's, I don't know, married to him or whatever it is. Yeah, so it's like a pseudo sequel, I think. Yeah,
A soft reboot, almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it went away. Because when was the last Ocean's movie? It was early
Yeah.
2000s?
Early 2000s.
13 was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ocean's
Yeah,
13.
Ocean's 13.
Yeah,
The last
no.
one? Oh, look.
2006-ish? I don't know. I have no idea. But mid-2000s. So about nearly over 10 years.
Well, I find the gender kind of swapping thing interesting because, for me, Ocean's 8 is fine to gender. Like, it doesn't make a difference really whether it's all females or all males and stuff. And it doesn't seem like there's been as much Ghostbuster level.
No, I think people have gotten
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
I just find it unnecessary. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
and unrealistic. Like that there would be
Yeah.
a whole crew and they're all of one gender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
agree
that
with
in
that.
itself seems like even if they were to just chuck in, like I don't know, I just don't see why they feel like they need to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's marketing, really.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all
That's
it
what
is.
annoys me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna see it. I'm interested to see it because it actually looked good in the trailers. But I think I just get annoyed that this is what it seems all about. Like
Yeah.
as a female, I'm like I don't feel empowered or like
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have enjoyed it if one dude was in it. I wouldn't have been like why. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because James Corden's in it. I know
Yeah.
he is. And
Is
it's
he?
really,
Yeah.
really weird.
That's
kind
weird.
of, yeah, it seems odd.
I forget that he's in
I reckon
films.
Sandra Bullock and Kate Blanchett especially look really good in it.
They'll be
I
excellent.
am not
Yeah.
keen for Rihanna or what's her
No,
name, Mindy
God.
Kaling.
I hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of, and even Helena Bonham Carter to an extent, I'm like, yeah. Everyone
If she
else
just
looks
plays a crazy
really
person
cool.
again. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be really
Yeah.
pissed.
Everyone else looks really cool. The three of them
Yeah.
are kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I agree. And that could have been fixed. I feel like they just kind of added the names in there.
Yeah, it was just
For the
big
sake
names.
of.
Yeah.
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 Which pisses me off too.
Yeah.
I think I'm on Karen's side. I think it's fine. Like, it's...
It's fine.
I do... Why can't they just be both male and female?
Yeah,
Like, that'd
exactly.
be-
It's more
That's
realistic.
fine. It's
Yeah,
more realistic.
Exactly.
And
And no one would care.
No, I feel like, especially like when Ghostbusters happened, the amount of internet divide of you're either sexist if you don't like it, or a feminazi if you do like
Right,
it.
yeah.
And you had, I'm an original Ghostbusters fan and this is awful because, and feminazis will just like it anyway, and all of the people that are like, oh, it's the best thing ever and it's women and yay. And really when I saw it, and I was fine for it to be 3 girls, I'm like, cool, that's fine. I'm happy with that. It makes sense. But then I saw the movie and it was...
Not good.
No.
Yeah.
After I saw it, I felt the pressure to like it. I felt the
Right.
pressure that I
Yeah.
need to find something.
Right.
And there were things like Kate McKinnon was fine and she did really
She was the
well.
only real good bit of that.
She
I think
was-
she was, yeah, she
yeah.
was underused.
Yeah.
I was kind of the same, that it was like, I hate that women aren't funny. Like me, myself, I was like, I'm a sexist because I rarely like female comedians. And then I
I'm the
came into
same,
that and I was
yeah.
like, I want to like it for women everywhere. And I was just
Yeah.
like, this sucks. And I
Get
think...
funnier women.
I feel like there are funny women, and it wasn't even that being the problem, but that seemed to be what the most of the internet chat was about. Like,
Yeah.
women aren't funny, and that's what set these feminazis off.
Yeah.
But like for me, it was more that they were kind of stomping on the Ghostbusters that I loved.
Exactly.
And that was
It's,
my
it's
issue.
unfortunate that that was a gender issue, because if you replaced the Ghostbusters with a bunch of like young male comedians,
Yeah.
I
Same
wouldn't
problem.
want that.
No.
Yeah,
No,
same
it
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't connect with me at all because Bill Murray was in the first one and Bill Murray's awesome, and then in the second one it's Melissa McCarthy and you're like, oh,
Eh.
No,
okay.
Third one,
She's-
really.
well, and then
Yeah.
in
Ghostbusters
the
2,
next
yeah.
iteration of the
First
Ghostbusters.
one.
The actual reboot of it.
Yeah, it just I just did not like it.
They're all in the reboot from memory.
Yeah, they are.
They all
and-
have small cameos, and their whole cameos are just about like the new one.
yeah.
whole
Like,
time.
we've signed off, guys.
Yeah.
Be okay.
Yeah.
Well,
with
that's what
this.
Bill Murray said. Bill Murray
Yeah.
said that he did the cameo, which was a pointless cameo, and they underused Bill Murray incredibly. But he did it to show that it was okay to be a female doing it, and it really kind of made the film as itself kind of less watchable, to be like, oh, well, you must not be sexist by not liking it or not finding it funny. So, you know, and Bill Murray says it's okay for these to be women, so it has to be, and it became about that more so. And I have a fear that maybe it could happen with Ocean's 8, that it's too like, yay for females, but no one's actually reviewing the movie.
That's what I'm worried about too.
Yeah.
At least Ocean's 11 and all that kind of thing is about famous people filling roles
Yeah.
in a heist. So
Yeah.
it's not so contingent on like the characters. And
It's the
especially
cast,
it's not,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Expendables almost. It's this big action movie stars
So
being
I-
action movies.
Yeah.
I feel like at least it can work. It's not as bad of a concept as Ghostbusters was.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think it's also partially as well as just that because there was a big fandom with Ghostbusters, with people who grew up with it, and also the leads of that are just hilarious, timeless comedians. Whereas the Ocean's franchise doesn't really
Yeah.
have a following.
I have no loyalty to that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly
true.
Yeah,
right. So
that's
that maybe that I
true.
feel like that's why there's not been much discussion about it being all females, because no one cares.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
about the Oceans. Like, they're fun heist movies.
And even the fact that it is that kind of pseudo sequel instead
Yeah.
of just a straight reboot helps it in that.
it
fashion.
does, yeah. It acknowledges the previous.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just going, oh, okay, so that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the new thing.
yeah.
Because it's just a follow-on to an extent by the look of it.
Whereas people saw
Yeah.
the reboot of Ghostbusters being, oh, this is completely different from the original. We're not gonna go anything like it. It's its own thing. Please like it.
Yeah.
And there were a lot more purists, I think, in the
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters has a massive...
Exactly, and it's got that status, whereas Oceans doesn't really.
Oh, yeah. So, what we're going to move on to now, to wrap everything up, is this week's bunker battle. And in the bunker battle, we decide between two pieces of screen media what should be kept in the bunker for all time for when the world is destroyed.
Along with Judi Dench.
Along with Julie. Yeah, she lives in there, apparently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Simon's real keen on that.
currently in the bunker, we have Princess Bride, we
Brooklyn
have Brooklyn
Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine, Game of Thrones,
Yep.
and the entire filmography of
Oh,
Judi
Judi
Dench.
Yeah.
No, it's Judi Dench.
Simon's
in
insistent that it's just Judi Dench.
Can
We're
it-
insistent
Yeah.
that it's just her movie, so it's a big rack. Of
Can it just be like
movies.
a wax doll of Judi Dench in the corner.
Like the Madame Tussauds.
Yeah, exactly.
So this week, I think Karen's gonna give us what the two movies are.
Okay, so usually you have to choose these off camera. But now I am going to put forward two animated movies, since that's what we talked about. And I will say The Lion King versus Toy Story.
Okay.
It's not as hard as I thought it would be.
No.
Yeah. It's really
I
easy
know
for
what
me.
it
It's,
is.
Me too.
yeah, me
Yeah.
too, yeah.
It's my all-time favorite.
Just do a
movie.
like,
Movie.
just
we
do a
just
quick
talk- say it
wrap
at the
up,
same time?
Wrap up. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
The
Lion
Lion
King.
Oh.
There we go!
Interesting, okay.
Wow.
Okay. All right. I want to hear. I'm gonna go with Ben.
I
First.
hate you. I knew you were going to pick me. I picked The Lion King.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Really? Why? Why is that a surprise? Go
It's
on.
not. It's
Yeah,
not.
no,
I know
but
you
yeah.
like The Lion King. That's why.
Who doesn't like The Lion King?
I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not a big
Okay,
fan.
interesting.
It's not that I dislike it. I just don't think it's that great.
Oh, that's fair. I love both movies. I think it's great. But if I were to pick one to watch more so in the bunker, I'd pick The Lion King. I feel like I don't even have a reason, honestly. It's partially just growing up with it. It's makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Disney movie, but it's high up there easily. I don't have a reason. It's
Okay, I'm
just
gonna
great.
step in and say
Please
it
do,
here.
because you're on my side. Aren't
Lion
you?
King is freaking amazing.
It is.
I would definitely not overstate by saying I've at least watched it 200 times. It was like my childhood film. It was the only one that I had on VCR. Oh, except Pocahontas. They were the only ones I had on VCR, and I'd watch it all the time. I like that it's like an adaptation of like a Shakespeare thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, that wasn't crucial when I was little.
But it's
Simba-
great when you go back to it and
Yeah.
you know about it and you're like, oh, this is awesome. It's
Yeah.
actually Hamlet. It's great.
Scar is freaking awesome as a villain. He's so hilarious, and I identify with Scar so much now. I'm surrounded by idiots.
Oh God, you're right.
Quotable.
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah, Timon and Pumbaa are excellent.
The songs are fantastic.
Songs are
There's no
fantastic.
dead song in that.
Yeah.
I don't think. No, yeah, it's
The
fantastic.
Mufasa death gets me every time. I think I always burst into tears, and he's like, "Dad, get up! We gotta get going!" Every time.
I think the worst part of that is actually the stampede because you know it's going to happen. You're like, oh God, the dread.
Yeah,
The dread's
set up.
coming. And there's this like, there's the calm before the storm. You're like, oh God, no. The tears. They're going to hit me.
The hyenas are hilarious. Because Ed is like amazing, and then also Whoopi Goldberg being
Goldberg
the voice
as
of the
it's
other
excellent,
one
yeah.
was hilarious. I like Zazu as well, and how he's hilarious. Zazu, yeah.
Rafiki as well.
Rafiki, oh my
He's
god,
excellent.
yeah, he is amazing, and like it's indie past, and like I don't know, I feel like I've learned everything about my life from Lion King.
I'm gonna have to say definitely Toy Story. I'm gonna cut in and say I grew up more with the Pixar films. I feel not so much the Disney films, and I've never really liked Lion King that much. I just
Why is that?
Look, I don't particularly like musicals
Okay,
that
so
much, so
that's-
that's probably
yeah.
why I didn't like Disney as much. Pixar for me should be in there because it is the first of a dynasty of brilliant animated movies. Every Pixar movie pretty much is perfect. Pretty much.
I can't think of one right now. So
Exactly.
Let's
Exactly.
I was going to say Cars.
Cars
yeah,
don't
Good Dinosaur.
And
Planes.
The Good Dinosaur is good in its own way.
Did they do? That's interesting. Did they do Planes? Is Planes?
No,
Pixar?
that was Disney.
No, that's-
Was that? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
That was
Yeah.
Disney's kind
Shut
of
up,
rip-off.
man.
Pixar.
Shot myself in the foot. Planes is great.
Yeah, it is not. No, yeah, for me, definitely Toy Story. I grew up more watching Toy Story than or Pixar movies more than Disney movies by a mile. And just the cast, it's just iconic. The only person I can remember that's in Lion King is James Earl Jones. And
But he's
you
a
know
great
what?
one to remember.
Yeah,
He's excellent.
because he's Darth Vader. But other than that,
It's also James L. Jones.
yeah, in general. But like other than that, meh. Toy Story has just so many more great people.
Can you name at least two?
Tim Allen, Billy Crystal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to
Billy
prove your
Crystal's
point.
not in Toy Story.
No, but
No, that's Monsters Inc.
no, I'm
Yeah.
getting mixed up. Sorry,
Monsters
Hanks.
Inc.
Tom Hanks. That's the one. That's the
Damn it,
one.
not
Got mixed up. Yeah, see, Monsters Inc. for me is if I had to choose between the two, that's my real favorite kind of
Interesting.
Pixar movie. That leans heavily on it as well.
I'd like Monsters Inc. probably more than Toy Story. I'd say.
Oh yeah, I do.
And Monsters University, which is a really
It's a
good
good
movie.
movie,
That was
yeah.
a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would choose Toy Story even over Monsters Inc. because that film is ingrained in my psyche. It is such a crucial film for me. Like, You've Got a Friend in Me is that is like
it's amazing.
6-year-old Simon. That is.
I do have a friend in me.
Yeah, man. Like I watched that film with my best friend when I was a kid, so like there's that kind of thing going on, and just I feel like it's just a part of my moral fiber. So
many epic moments. Just the bit where they're on the car and the flying. Yeah.
So if a toy dies and Andy continues, is he playing with their corpses and all the toys have
I don't think they
died?
die. I think they're just permanently immortal.
They can get dismembered.
Yeah, there's like the broken ones. And all that.
Exactly.
I don't think they die.
no, I think they can die. I reckon they can.
Like they're burned alive or something. That's the
Hey, Toy
tension at
Story
the
3.
end.
Shit.
That's the tension at the end, like towards the end with Sid, with them blowing them up with the firework.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I will say he is a terrifying.
he's a brilliant
child.
villain.
He is terrifying, and it's scary even to watch that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a brilliant villain.
That goddamn baby head.
I
with
know.
the-
I know.
Yeah, that
Oh,
gave me
that's
nightmares.
amazing.
Yeah, same.
Amazing.
Oh, well, that's difficult. Then we
I didn't
need a
actually-
tiebreaker.
I didn't actually hear Karen's.
Karen doesn't-
I
don't
kind
know.
of said the Toy King because I was like, Toy Story changed halfway through it, and I'm like, neither are my favorite Disney movie, so it's kind of more comparing to kind of.
Can you just say you hate both, and then we're gonna
No,
tie?
I don't hate both. I like both. I like both a lot. But I may have to say Toy Story
Ooh.
because Lion King.
I always lose.
Lion King is great. It's brilliant. I was really considering just choosing it over as soon as the movie starts, the sun rising and the music. Yeah, because that always makes me feel just.
That's actually probably my least favorite part of the movie. I hate the song.
But come on.
How can you hate that song? How can you hate that song over? I just can't wait to be king.
That is a great song.
It's awful.
It is poppy. It's a banger. I love it.
Oh God, no. I will choose. The songs in Lion King are great. Timon and Pumbaa are ace, but I will choose Toy Story because the writing in it, I think, is a little bit more clever. And
Oh, by far.
as an adult,
It's not a redo of Hamlet.
as an
Hey, don't mess with classics.
no, as an adult, I think that I can. When I was a kid, I liked Toy Story as any kid did, and I liked The Lion King. But then when I went back and watched all the Disney movies as an adult, Toy Story really surprised me because even though I watched it and liked it as a kid, I never realized just how clever it was. And how clever it was to have these two toys who neither were the pinnacle of greatness, but neither were villains either. They both had their flaws. Woody had his flaws. Buzz had his flaws. The playoff between those two. The fact that Sid really didn't do anything wrong. He thought they were just toys. He was just being creative with his toys. He didn't know they were sentient.
By burning them.
Yeah, but kids did that.
I mean, no, he was a psychopath. Let's be
He was a psychopath in the
serial killer.
making, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He had a shirt with a skull on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's his parents' fault. It's not like he went out and went, can I please get this death shirt? It's
he
probably
was
his
like,
parents.
yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm
that's
sure.
exactly-
100%. He went to in America, what is it? Hot Topic. He went to Hot Topic. He said, there is a skull shirt there. I want
need
that
it.
now.
But he'll just grow up to listen to my Kev
No,
and he'll
he
be fine.
grows up to be a pizza delivery driver. He's in the third one, and
Yeah.
he's a pizza
Oh,
delivery
yeah,
driver.
he is. Yeah.
Does
And
he
also a psycho.
Does he also have a metal band?
Probably.
Yeah. But
Soon.
either way, he's just a kid and it made, thinking about being a kid and having my teddy bear on my bed and going home to my teddy bear and then just imagining the exploits my toys would get up to while I'm away and
Messed me
those
up.
kind of
Yeah, it's terrifying.
it's nice, they're nice.
Were you terrified by that concept, or did you enjoy that concept?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too. I love this divide on the table.
Yeah,
Everyone's like the right places today.
We are just we want harmless fun. we want a happy. Well, not really.
Harmless
happy
fun.
Harmless
Why are you
fun.
think harmless fun?
compared to what you're talking about.
it's
in
a
Toy Story.
Shakespearean tragedy you're
Yeah.
talking about, and we're like toys come to life, and you're like,
Yeah,
no,
but you're talking about it
too
in
dark.
a really sickly way. We're just like, I just can't wait to be king.
Okay, well,
So,
You're not getting me over to your side by singing that song.
no.
I'm not trying to.
okay, so in the end, we get Toy Story in the bunker. So
Yeah.
first animated film in there, I think that is.
Yes.
Yeah, and
No, not happy.
It's only the
yeah,
second film in there,
unless
though.
Judy Dench is in an animated film, in which case that is.
You know what? She's in The Lion King.
True.
No. she's one.
the hippo.
She's one of the monkeys at the start.
You're going to go into IMDb, change everything so that the Lion King can get in there somehow.
Everyone's Judi Dench. Would you watch that?
Of course.
Alrighty, guys, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. So don't forget to like and subscribe, do all those things on iTunes, as I always say, because I never remember what they are.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that. That. Also,
and
actually, we're
listen.
on CastBox now, so check it out there as well, unless you're already listening to it there. And subscribe to us there as well. And we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.